So I've been continuously hit. The RF number is constantly going, pulsing up and down, like really high numbers. So I decided to turn on the camera. There is somebody in the loading dock who's also knocking. I just tweeted about a Jeep that's outside the window, parked outside the window. And this tall Somali man comes in every Saturday evening, afternoon. So we're not supposed to have visitors according to the law. Anybody who's not living in the building is not supposed to be here. So this man shows up and he's let in, most likely through the loading dock. I didn't see him come in. I saw the car there, the Jeep there. So whoever he's visiting is also breaking the rules and the law right now. So I just got a hit on the head. I keep hearing the name Carlos outside my window. That's a hit in my ear. When the Portuguese team is in, I'm not sure if it's a control or if they have an account when it's global. Carlos's name is always called. As in, Carlos chose me. He's the master. He's the manager. He's the owner. So as soon as I turned on the camera, the numbers dropped. It was 500 before I turned on the camera. And that was a sting underneath my thighs, underneath the thighs. So it must be coming from underneath. So between my legs are being pulsed, and that's it right there, 6.6. That's the pulse between the legs, and it itches. I didn't look at the electrical number there, but it works hand in hand. So I'm suspecting that this Somali man who comes and shouts and is extremely abusive, as I posted the videos before. Speaking of effing whores, I'm suspecting that he's logged on and somebody's selling. So I heard the comment that once she refinance it, we're going to kick her blankety blank out. That was one of the comments I heard from a Black person outside the window. My question is, how do they know about my personal finances? How does Rick know about my personal finances if I wasn't being tracked because I'm a target and I'm all opened up? Because right now we're all targets. We're in prison right now, which is going to go on and on and on and on and on. No jobs, no money, nowhere to go, grounded, can't leave your house. I'd say that was imprisonment, which goes against intuitive thinking that if you're in the fresh air, keep your distance, wear proper protection like gloves and masks and clothing that you wash when you come back. These little precautions are you're not going to get sick. But being cooped up in a condominium with 21 floors, about let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 units per floor. So, on an average of 2 to 3 people per unit breathing into the ventilation system that's being circulated. I would safely say that everybody has it by now because there's been a lot of traveling. The traveling was not shut down from China. Canada did not close its borders. So there are people coming into this building from China and Hong Kong that were infected. If they weren't sick, they were infected. So if it's airborne virus, then I would say the entire building is infected by now. And there are a lot of old people in this building as well. So it doesn't make sense from my perspective about this lockdown. I think people should be allowed to go out with proper clothing and proper protection. What the government should be doing is providing every family with enough face masks. That is, of course, after the hospital get what they need. Force companies who has the technical setup, the infrastructure to manufacture more masks, get clothing stores, manufacturers to manufacture clothing with copper or metallic things that would stop virus penetration, filters. And I just got a sting between my legs, and that's the 14 right there. It's a sting. It's not, it wasn't an itch. It's a sting. So 14 RF is a sting. There you go. You got a reading right there. So I could actually develop the reading and a chart that shows the reading of the RF or numbers that correspond to the effects on the body. So I'm going to take a safe guess and say that that's tall Somali man is logged in right now. So the idea is these people who come in, they want you to show, they want you to lie down and open your legs for them because you're being sold by PK. This is a remote trafficking prostitution ring being operated by the Chinese traffickers and warlords originating from China, bringing technologies that I am documenting here and showing you to run a trafficking ring and experiment on Canadians because they have a contract to do it with all the right corrupted people, not only in Canada, but around the world. They're doing this around the world. This is why they're doing it and getting away with it. It's no coincidence, in my opinion, that the coronavirus originated in China. I think the Chinese are infiltrating, just like the Chinese infiltrated my family, infiltrated my friends, infiltrated my workplace, infiltrated every single where that I am, any place I am, and work with other criminals such as the Muslim sex slave operators, slave rings in Toronto. Well, Muslims are known to have sex slaves all over the world. So this was a good market for the Chinese to sell to. So the Muslim steward at the company who made this whole thing public was a client of PK and his ring. So he knew about me before he hired me. He knew about me. So that 16 was a pulse on the body, on the back, on the chest actually. The back and the chest, I should say. It's the middle area. And I just got phantom touch effect between the legs, and that was about 3.9. So see the different readings and different levels of the power gives different effects on the body. So the Muslim steward knew about me because PK and his teams were selling. I'm not the only one that they're selling. They're selling millions of people around the world. They're selling children all over the world. In fact, kids are most probably the biggest part of their business. And they're selling it to the rich people. They're selling it to billionaires. They're selling it to millionaires. They're selling it to company owners. And these company owners are selling it to their employees. It's no coincidence that Isan's name is constantly being mentioned. And I was told that he was going to be visiting every Saturday, and he does show up every Saturday. And when he does show up, the power is turned up. The last time he showed up, the power was turned up extremely high, so high that I was hit on the head so badly that I almost fell over, and I had to shield myself, get to bed, shield myself ice myself down, and not get up until the next morning. I couldn't get up till the next morning, and it took 2 days to recover from that hit. Listen up, folks. The Chinese are experimenting on us. This is only one of the many, many, many experiments that's being carried out globally by the Chinese and the New World Order that the Chinese are part of. It's only one of the experiments, and it's only one of the business line that they're participating in and they're running. Trafficking is a business, of course, but it's only one arm of the criminal ring. It's only one arm. The other arm is vaccinations. There's a whole lot of money to be made by vaccine by patenting vaccine. Excuse me, my mouth was just hit, my throat. So let me say that again. By getting vaccine, the patents for the vaccine, and to try it out, and then to re-engineer it and try it out again. In order to do that, you have to infect people. So this is what's being done right now on a global basis. There's a whole lot of money. It's global because it's a global organization. There is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to be made by these organizations. So I'm a target, obviously. So are you right now. And by the way, we were always targets. So I am going to stop there. Just going on 20. Again, the head is being hit. The eyes are being hit. There you go, 5.5. That's my eyes, my right eye. And the electrical reading went up as well. 133, 131, 8.7. So both numbers went up. So that was my left eye and the right side of my head. So I just finished talking about hitting the head and I was disabled. Well, the person who's listening to me and looking at me decided to replicate it, and he just did. So you notice that in some cases, the RF and the EF goes up in a synchronized way. So the technologies that are being used sometimes together, sometimes differently. And there are different kinds of technologies being used with different components. There you go, you had a 39, that's my face. And that when that RF reading goes up to 500 and hits my face, it immediately gets swollen. The eyes immediately get red. It hurts. The left eye was just hit. The face is swollen, the eyes are red, the eyes are painful. So I'll do 20 minutes, it's 19 minutes. So this is a sample of the readings when the black tall Somali man is in the building and I'm suspecting logged on. I just wanted to give you a sample of that. Before I started, it was 400 plus the RF reading. He was starting to turn up the power. So, the black team likes to keep people in intense pain. So immediately, as soon as he logged on, he started turning up the power. And I was listening to David Icke, so I guess he didn't like that very much too. He's being trained. He's being trained to log into you and monitor you, just like we're going to be monitored as a result of the coronavirus to make sure that we're indoors, outdoors, we're not with people, how many people are with us. All these things are going to be data-based about us. Well, somebody's going to be looking at you day and night. Day and night. That's the whole idea. That's why my targeting was done publicly, to make you aware of what was going to happen down the line. I just didn't realize, I didn't anticipate it happening so fast for everybody. I knew that it was meant for everybody. I just couldn't for the life of me predict that it was going to happen so fast, so very fast. And I feel sorry for people who just didn't have a clue about what was going to happen, and they thought that they're just targets, and there were two sets of people, targets and non-targets. And since they were targeting me, they could not be targeted themselves. And now they're starting to realize that they're just as big a target as the public ones like myself. In fact, they're in a worse situation because I'm in a situation where I could protect myself from these signals. Most people don't have a clue about what's going on. I've been studying these signal patterns for 15 years. I've been listening to people who've been studying them for 15 years. So I could predict certain things. What I didn't predict was how fast it was going to happen. It had to be fast because they had to take you by surprise. That's part of an MK Ultra program process. That's excuse. Let me say that again. So that's part of the MK Ultra program. One step or one part of the whole process of traumatizing you, like terribly, terribly traumatizing you. It has to be done quickly. First of all, there has to be a surprise element. Second of all, it has to be intense trauma. Intense trauma. So what does coronavirus do? You're going to die. Oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. When the fact is, you're not going to die. 99.9% of the people are not going to die. And the coronavirus is, yes, it's a really, really, really bad cold, with cold flu-like symptoms and can lead to pneumonia. And the 5G is aggravating it. But most people are not going to die. Not going to die. So, this is hyped up trauma, but it's psychological trauma. And that's the whole idea. It has to be psychological to shut you down. And then you don't have a job, you don't have money coming in, and you're in a helpless position, which is exactly where I was put. I was put in a servile, helpless position where I had to ask people for money. I had to ask for help. And that's exactly where most people are today, except for the very, very rich. The average Canadian have to ask for help. You have to ask the bank to lower its interest rate. You have to beg the bank to lower its interest rates because you have a large credit balance on your account. You have to beg the government for bailouts, small businesses especially. We need money. We need money. You are in a servile position. You can't operate your airplanes. You can't open up your restaurants. Non-essential services are shut down. You need a handout. Open your hands. We're going to give you a handout. This is all part of the targeting program. You're being made helpless and begging for help. It's all part of the MK Ultra program. We have been completely traumatized on all different fronts, all at the same time, to bring you down, break you down, so you don't fight back. And this is not a war in which you need weapons. Weapons is not the way to fight back here. Nobody's physically harming you, at least coming to your door with a weapon trying to kill you. Obviously, there is a virus, yes, and we don't know where it's coming, how, and we don't know the details. We don't know the facts. So the fact is, we have to deal with it. So, but we do know that our rights are being taken away, and the economy is being shut down, and things can be handled differently. So this is not a situation where you have to go out in the streets and yell and scream and all kinds of civil disobedience. This is a situation where you start sending emails to all the right people, letting your politicians and your leaders know that you want more accountability, you want more transparency, you want different options on the table other than the ones that's being taken. You don't want to be dictated by a global organization. The country should have a response that is right for Canada, not right for the UN, not right for China, not right for any other country, but for Canada. Emails, make your voice heard. I am not encouraging people to go on the streets and break the law and be disobedient to the law and disrespectful. But make your voices heard. If you think something weird is going on, make your voice heard. An email, a tweet can make a huge, 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 huge difference. And this is where your power lies. This is where our power lies. make your voices heard, because part of my targeting is suppressing my voice. It's not about suppressing me from getting a weapon, which I'd never do, by the way. I don't believe in violence. It's about suppressing my voice, because your voice is a very, 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 very powerful weapon in itself. Your voice is the most powerful weapon that you'd ever use. Use it. If you think something strange is going on and you're being taken advantage of and you're being used as guinea pigs for a Chinese experiment, then make your voice heard. Talk to you another time.